Your kid just slammed the door so hard, a picture frame fell off the wall. 20 minutes later, they're laughing at a dinner table like nothing happened. And you're standing there wondering, what just happened in that brain of theirs? Here's the thing that neuroscientists actually know that most parenting advice skips. That fast flip from rage to calm isn't your child being dramatic. It's a developing prefrontal cortex, literally practicing a skill it doesn't have yet: emotional regulation through narrative. And there's a 50-year-old picture book that maps that exact flip better than most therapy workbooks. Research shows that strategic play and reading build stronger thinkers. Here at Think Through Play, we use one book, one game, and 3 questions to help kids develop critical thinking skills that last a lifetime. Today's pairing: Maurice Sendak's Where the Wild Things Are, and the game Sequence Junior. And before you say, wait, those two have nothing to do with each other, stay with me, because The Bridge is actually one of my favorites, as this was my favorite book as a child. And here are your 3 questions. Number 1, what choice did the character make and why? Number 2, what decision or choice mattered most in the game? And number 3, what would you change or do differently next time? Keep those in your back pocket. We're going to use them at 3 different moments. And by the end, you'll have a tool you can reuse with literally any book and any game you already own. Quick refresher: if it's been a while, Max is wearing his wolf suit, making mischief, chasing the dog with a fork, basically being a Tasmanian devil in pajamas. And his mother calls him Wild Thing. Max talks back. He gets sent to bed without supper. And here's where Sendak does something most children's books from 1963 never would have tried. He doesn't punish Max off the page. He lets Max's room grow into a forest. A boat appears and Max sails to where the wild things are and becomes their king by staring them down without blinking once. That wordless rumpus scene, that's not filler. That's Sendak giving Max and your kid a full release valve. 3 pages, 0 text, pure wild release. And after all that commotion, Max does the unexpected. He gets lonely. He smells good things to eat, and he chooses to leave the place where he's king of all wild things, to go back to the place where someone loves him best of all. That's the whole book. Not Max got punished and learned his lesson. Max regulated himself. Nobody made him come home. He decided. Here's your first question. Question number 1, what choice did the character make and why? You're listening for whether your child can name that Max chose to come home, not that he was forced to, not that the story just ended. That distinction between an imposed consequence and a chosen one is precisely the kind of internal versus external reasoning that researchers studying executive function call self-regulation, and it's one of the strongest predictors of later academic success. Harvard Center on the Developing Child speaks to executive function, saying that it includes self-monitoring and reasoning as foundational, built through guided practice and play. So before we get into the game, and trust me, the bridge between Wild Rampage and board game strategy is better than it sounds. If this kind of breakdown is useful to you, comment Max for more videos like this. We do these every week, 1 book, 1 game, 3 questions, and thank you. So here's the bridge. Max's room turns into a chaotic forest that keeps changing shape around him. And that's basically what the sequence board does to a 6-year-old's brain every single turn. Quick mechanics rundown for anyone who hasn't played. Kids draw a card, match it to an animal space on the board, and they place a chip. Get 4 chips in a row, like Connect 4, but the board keeps throwing animals at you, and you win that sequence. Sounds simple. It's not as simple as it looks, and here's why that matters. This is the part most parents miss. Sequence Junior is not really a matching game. Every single turn is asking your child to run 4 separate calculations at once. If I play here, what does that open up for me next turn? Which space actually helps me later versus just fills the space down? Should I finish my own row or block the row my brother is 1 chip away from completing? And this one's sneaky. What is my opponent even trying to do in the first place? That last one is huge. Most kids are wired to think only about their own goal. The second your child starts asking, wait, what is he trying to do? That's perspective taking. That's a cognitive skill that normally takes years to develop. And this game is forcing quietly the rep, turn after turn after turn, disguised as fun. And here's the Max connection. Remember how Max's plan, I'll just be the wildest, scariest thing in this forest, kept needing to flex as the wild things reacted to him? Same exact thing happens on this board. A plan that looks perfect 2 turns ago can completely fall apart because the board changed. Researchers call that cognitive flexibility, the ability to update a plan when reality doesn't cooperate. And it's considered one of the core building blocks of executive function, right up there with working memory and impulse control. Research in 2023 in Trends in Neuroscience and Education states that structured board game interventions improved working memory, inhibition, and cognitive flexibility in children. So while it looks like your children are just trading plastic chips for cartoon animals, the brain underneath is doing planning, pattern recognition, defensive reasoning, and rapid replanning, all in a single 5-minute round. Here's your second question. What decision or choice mattered most in the game? Don't accept "I don't know" as the final answer. Give it 3 seconds of silence. Silence is doing work here. You're not failing as a facilitator. If there's a pause, the pause is where the thinking is actually happening. So why pair a 50-year-old picture book with a kids matching game? Because they're training the exact same system from 2 completely different angles. Reading where the wild things are and talking through Max's choice works the comprehension side of executive function. Your child has to hold the story in working memory, infer why Max changed his mind, and connect his emotional state to his decision. That's not passive listening. Researchers who study reading comprehension have found it's deeply dependent on these same executive functions: working memory, inference, the ability to monitor your own understanding as you go. Research in 2018 states that executive functions are deeply tied to reading comprehension, including working memory, inferencing, and monitoring understanding. So Sequest Jr. works the action side, actually exercising planning and flexible thinking in real time with real consequences where losing is safe. And books build the muscle through reflection. Games build it through repetition. You need both. The same way you'd need both reading about a tennis serve and actually swinging the racket. This is also the actual neuroscience behind why your kid can go from total meltdown to giggling at dinner in 20 minutes. Their brain isn't broken. It's a system still under construction. And every wild rumpus, book or board game, is practice. So here's how to actually run this at home. And I'm going to keep it boring on purpose because boring is repeatable and repeatable works. Read the book. Ask 1 question. Play the game. Ask question 2 mid-game, if you can sneak it in, or right after if you can. And then close with question number 3. What would you change or do differently next time? That third question is the one that ties the book and the game board together. And maybe they say they should have blocked their sibling instead of finishing their own row. Either answer is a win. You're not grading them. You're just making them notice their own thinking out loud, where it sticks. And I'll tell you why this particular pairing means something to me. Raising 8 kids, I watched the wild thing phase quite a few times. The door slamming followed by the sulking. In essence, the full Max in the forest in full effect routine. And what I learned more than any parenting book ever taught me is that kids don't need you to fix the feeling. They need a minute to be the wild thing. And then they need a way back that doesn't feel like defeat. And that's what these 3 questions are actually doing underneath the surface. They're not a quiz. They're a way of saying, I noticed your thinking, and your thinking matters, even when, especially when, it was wild. Sequence Jr. just happens to be a low-stake way to practice coming back from that didn't work without anyone slamming a door. Thank you for joining me, because at Think Through Play, play leads to thinking, and thinking leads to the joy of learning. Click on this next video here, and I'll see you there.